What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Bro Creators Podcast. Jarrett, I'm so excited about this one, and I know in the words of Warplan Studios, this episode is about to be
epic.
Thank you for taking the word out of my mouth.
I do that all the time.
Epic. But yeah, for real. So this past week, if I'm being honest, it really did feel busy.
Yeah, busy, chaotic, all the things.
So Jarrett, let's try this again. Finish the sentence. Within the busyness, there's chaos.
Yes.
And when there's chaos,
There's exhaustion.
There's exhaustion.
Yeah, but unpopular opinion, exhaustion is not a badge of honor.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I mean, sometimes we can catch our selves saying we're so busy.
Yeah.
And sometimes the busyness isn't really productive.
Man, you know what? I heard a quote this week, and it said that the ultimate way to have faith is to rest. And I know that a lot of the times, I mean, I even texted you this morning about it, but a lot of the times that you can be like, oh, I have so much to do. I'm so busy, especially as a creative. I have all of these projects to line up. I have all of these, things that have to get done, but it's like the ultimate way to show or to have faith is to have a Sabbath, to actually rest.
Yeah.
And know that everything's going to happen the way it needs to happen. Everything's going to be completed the way it needs to be completed, that all the right people are going to be in the right positions, and all of the, the right timing of everything is going to happen. I'm also reading this other book. It's called Who Not How. And that's been
literally probably the best book I've
bomb.
read since we started at the studio.
Yeah. And it's crazy because it's not about what you're doing or how you're going to do it, but it's about finding the right who's to come into your life and actually be able to help go along with you, not just you doing it all by yourself.
I mean, somehow I kind of want to tie this all together, but I feel like this week there's been so much chaos, but it has helped us discover the who's in our life.
Yeah, 100%.
To help things happen with the season that we're in with the studio.
Yeah.
And so figuring out literally how to grasp the chaos and the busyness in your life and turning that into something productive, something meaningful.
Yeah.
And not seeing it as really a burden or even just a weight that's on your shoulders.
Yeah, especially with finding the right team. We've been in so many different teams together. I've been in teams separately. You've been in teams separately. It's really ironic how all of the people that are in all of our teams, it's like we're like, oh man, this would be a dream team outside of, all the ways that we were in a team together.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, all of those who's in our life are popping back in and starting to just be around again and show up. And we're like, man, dream teams are an amazing thing. And all of a sudden, those who's are popping up again.
But it happens at the craziest time.
It happens at the craziest freaking times.
And I mean, I know we love talking about it, but literally God has been with us since the very beginning.
Yeah.
He's aligned every move.
Yeah.
He's aligned every client. He's literally aligned every single relationship that has walked through the doors of Warplan Studios.
Yeah. And they've all been, transformational relationships and not just transactional relationships. So I think there's a lot of, I saw this.
That could be a whole nother episode.
Yeah, it can. We'll do it.
And we will. That is the next episode. And we will actually have a special guest on that episode.
He doesn't know yet. We'll just tell him though eventually. But no, I was reading.
Maybe he'll listen to this.
Maybe. But in podcast. Who Not How, I was reading, it says, in a transactional relationship, services and people are considered a cost. But in transformational relationships, they're considered an investment. Yeah. Let that one sink in for a second. I think that there's so many creatives that go through transactional relationships because they just want to get something out of it. But then as soon as they don't get what they want anymore, they move on or they cut you off or all of the things, you're not as important anymore.
Yeah.
But I think that really investing into people, I can think about all of the different ways that there's been people even that have invested into me and then that I've invested in, and the investment that I made into people wouldn't even be possible if I hadn't been invested into. Yeah. But it wasn't just I'm going to do the thing with them until I don't need them anymore, cut them off and move on.
Yeah. It goes back to what we talked about with Bruce on the last episode.
Yeah.
It's the ripple effect.
Yeah.
And when you have the ability to create an impact on somebody's life.
Yeah.
It can be, so when I was in kids ministry, or when we were all in ministry, you were teaching people how to do production.
Yeah.
And we have William here at the studio now that you taught from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And now he's here as our AV tech, as our DP, as our producer, our director,
Everything.
literally
Our everything.
everything that makes the shoot happen.
Yeah.
He has the ability to do it because of you, because of the people that he's taught, and he's been able to just transition
Yeah.
super smoothly into what we're doing here at the studio. But going back to what I was saying is being on staff at the church, that's a whole nother episode too, being on staff at a church. But being on staff at the church is like you're in a box, but even though you're in a box, you have the ability to impact people's lives.
Yeah.
And you have no idea the impact that they're going to make on someone else.
Yeah.
The moment that they transition into a new season of life.
I think back to all of the times when I was in, I was in all kinds of roles being at the church.
Well,
I was the production director at one point, but then like even before I really was leading that team, I was in students and young adults, and there were people that drove me nuts inside of students and drove me nuts inside of young adults. Like made me want to punch a wall. So much.
Hallelujah.
So much. But
Yeah.
I mean, even when I was the production director, I had uplines, I had like all kinds of different people that made me want to punch holes in a wall.
Yeah.
But out of all of the times I wanted to punch holes in the wall, all of the things were investments into me that I literally would go back at any point and do it all. If I had to do it all over, I would do it all again, the same exact way.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying because everything, even the hard times, even the frustrations, even trying to work with other people and like people that wouldn't follow systems, which I still interact with and encounter every single day is I'm a systems oriented person, and people that are visionaries sometimes just don't like systems or being kept to a schedule or a timeline.
I love systems. They're so great.
No, you don't. Anyways, all that to say is like even through learning how to do all of that with these people is still like one of the best things that I've ever could have learned.
Right.
Is how to interact with people that hate systems but still make them optimized for them.
Yeah.
And I mean it's a whole thing, but I mean there's like the leadership, the way of leading people. Like there's so many people I could go down a list of all the ways I've learned how to and how not to and all of the things, but like I'm so grateful for that season that I was in and the ability to learn from all these different people.
Yeah.
Because I mean I wouldn't be anywhere near the person that I am today.
Right. But I mean, so just to wrap it back around to the main point is the exhaustion piece.
Oh, I was exhausted during those seasons, let me tell you. Some of these people made me so exhausted.
Right.
So
right.
freaking exhausted.
And so sometimes like in the exhaustion, there's growth.
Yeah.
And in the moment, you probably won't be able to see it until you're out of it.
Well, but if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. I know I've said that a bunch. That's one of my favorites.
So good.
But it's true.
Yeah.
You just have to keep going and keep pushing through it because you can't control the outcome. You can only control your attempt, which is another good one. But it's true. You really can't. You can't control the outcome of how something's going to work, especially when you're working with a team. There's so many different variables. But as long as you did your best attempt, then everything, and if everybody else did, then obviously you'll have a decent outcome most of the time.
Right.
But all you can control is your attempt. As long as you make sure that whether you're exhausted or not, I mean, especially like with a startup, with a new company, all of that stuff. There's so many times where you're going to be dead exhausted. I mean, how many times do you stay until 2 a.m? Like it's ungodly. Anyways, but as long as you make an attempt and the attempt that you make is your best, that's all you can do.
Yeah. And you may or may not see the benefits from the work that you're putting in right now in this moment.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of people out there going through the same thing. Exactly what we're talking about is you feel like you're working and working and working and working and you're not seeing an outcome or you're not seeing the money come in.
Yeah.
But we always talk about it. You always have to remember your why.
Yeah.
why are you doing what you're doing? And if you're making it about your why, I feel like exhaustion is, I'm not saying that it's rare,
Yeah.
because I feel like there's always going to be a sense of exhaustion.
Yeah.
But when you have a drive to accomplish your why in life,
Yeah.
and there's a meaning behind what you're doing, there's going to be a sense of exhaustion that you can turn into like rocket fuel.
Yeah. Well, and I think
Yeah,
having
that was just
having,
a thought that I was
think
having. It's
having a
like,
good team
yeah.
behind you as well and with you, and I mean it. I keep referencing
It's the who, not how.
Yeah, I keep referencing it because I'm reading it. But there was another thing in that book. It says if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together.
Right.
And I think that there is a lot of people that are like, especially freelancers, a lot of the times they talk about wanting, freelancer, we talked about it, freelancers versus entrepreneurs. Freelancers are, doing a thing and getting paid, but they're not optimizing systems. They're not even thinking about scaling most of the time because they're just self-employed, like they're doing their thing.
Right.
But when you switch over to that mindset of becoming an entrepreneur, not only are you now getting other people in your circle, other people, like building your team and stuff like that, but now you're taking those steps to scale. You're building systems, you're doing all that.
Right.
And that's how you're going to go farther, which I know a lot of the times in the creative industry, which I just had this thing pop into my head, is like team culture, and that's a whole nother episode too. But anyways,
I think we have a special guest on that one too.
I think we have a special guest for a couple things. But anyways, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So it's so funny because the special guest has no idea he's going to be a special guest yet, and he's in the room while we're recording right now. But anyways, all that to say, I think that building the team and finding the right team, and it's okay to not have the right team right off the bat. I think that it's okay to learn
I agree.
and trial and error is a thing. And I think learning what works, what doesn't work, all of that. Yeah. And obviously, like, some of those things are hard. Some of those things, navigating different situations, those are hard. All the things, it's not easy. But there's definitely growing moments in building a team. But once you have that A team, you're unstoppable.
The ripple effect becomes a tsunami, earthquake, hurricane that's about to make landfall.
Yeah. You have that.
Me and hurricanes.
Yeah. It's strange.
Yeah, me and hurricanes.
Anyways.
Do you know why I talk about hurricanes, Jarrett?
Tell me why you talk about hurricanes.
Because did you know the eye of the storm is the calmest part when it makes landfall?
But it's surrounded by literal chaos.
But it's the most powerful thing when it's over the sea.
Yeah.
It's what makes the hurricane happen.
Yeah.
So it may feel like you're in this chaos and this craziness, but the moment that you make landfall, just wait. Chaos is going to happen around you, but you're going to be so still and at peace.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing.
So what is one thing you have to say to creative people about...
In what season?
Exhaustion. Which, we'll do a whole episode too. I have it already written down about burnout. But anyways, just exhaustion in and of itself. Like, exhaustion is not a badge of honor, but it's okay to be exhausted as long as you're still doing your best.
No, for sure. The first thought that comes to my mind is when we first started and it was just you and I, just knocking out videos left and right.
Yeah.
I think we had over like 40 or 50 episodes recorded by the second week.
Yeah.
And the only thing to make it happen was you and I. And here comes Will into all the chaos trying to make it happen. And so from the very beginning, there was chaos and exhaustion.
Yeah.
But as time went on, I had to figure out a way to navigate and use the exhaustion as that rocket fuel. Yeah. And the only way that I was able to grasp that and take control of that is to not focus on so many little details that distract me from the fullest vision that we have.
I'm telling you, when you figured that out,
it was game changer.
Yeah.
It was so game changer.
Yeah.
Because I cared so much about the smallest details that didn't matter.
Yeah.
Especially with the types of videos that we're doing here at the studio.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're sitting there editing and you're trying, we already covered that in so many different episodes. Yeah. But the moment that you realize covering so many small details has a truly like negative effect on your creativity, your exhaustion. Once you figure out that piece, that's the puzzle piece.
Yeah.
yeah, so if that was one thing I could encourage with people is use that exhaustion,
Yeah.
not as a burden on your shoulders, but as that rocket fuel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my encouragement.
Yeah.
Literally.
I mean, I would say the same thing. I think that a lot of times, like we were saying, is people like to use exhaustion as a badge of honor. They're like, oh, I only know that I did good if I was exhausted. But
Yeah.
you can also...
What'd you do in that time, though?
Well, productivity is a whole nother thing. But I mean, I think that, and I mean, we talked about it last week, is activity is not productivity. And I think a lot of people like to be active just so they can have they can say that they're doing a thing, and they become exhausted because of their activity.
Right.
But they weren't productive at all. Nothing got done. Nothing was accomplished. Nothing was finished.
Yeah. At
And
the
I
end of the
think,
day.
yeah, at the end of the day, you know, especially in a company, when you're trying to scale a creative company, you have to be productive. You don't have a choice but to be productive.
Yeah.
So I would just say that know your why, and like you were saying, let your exhaustion be fueled by your why, and then let that exhaustion fuel your productivity.
That's it.
So, anyways, I think
puzzle
today's a
piece.
short one. Today
was
is a
good.
short one.
Good job.
Don't do that to me. I almost fall every single time. I almost fall for it.
No,
Anyways.
but for real. Good job.
No, I ain't doing that with you. Okay, but anyways, go like, subscribe,
Yes.
all the things. We have hats that are coming out. There, people
Yes, they
already
are.
been getting them like crazy. So,
Yeah.
so get a hat. I'm excited. We have some sick special guests. Like the list is longer of special guests and episodes that I've had even thought about yet. So, we have a lot of episodes to
Yeah.
record.
But yeah, like Jarrett said, be sure to like, follow, subscribe to
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yep.
If you're listening to the audio, stop slacking, jump on YouTube, watch the video podcast.
But if you're watching the audio or listening to the
If you're
audio,
listening
thank
to
you.
the audio and you're driving on your wonderful way down the road to work, wherever you may be in this world,
Yeah.
thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Good job, Jarrett.
Good job,
This
Sean.
is awesome. Thank you guys for joining. We love you guys, and
See
we
you
will see
later.
you guys in the next episode.